Every great story begins with a dreamer. And sometimes, that dreamer isn't born into wealth or comfort, but into struggle, imagination, and loneliness. This is the story of a boy who dreamed of touching the stars, long before the world believed in him. This is the childhood story of Elon Musk. Elon Musk was born on June 28, 1971, in Pretoria, South Africa. He wasn't the loudest or the strongest kid in school. In fact, he was shy, often lost in his own thoughts. While other kids were running outside, Elon spent hours reading books, staring at the sky, and asking questions no one around him could answer. His mother, May Musk, was a hardworking woman, a model and dietitian who raised her children with strength and independence. His father, Elon Musk, was an engineer, intelligent, but often strict and emotionally distant. Their home life was not always peaceful. Elon often escaped the noise and tension by disappearing into the world of imagination. Books were his best friends. He devoured The Lord of the Rings, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and entire encyclopedias. He once said he read almost everything he could find, even the full Encyclopedia Britannica before he turned 10. To Elon, the world wasn't enough. He was fascinated by the universe, the stars, planets, and the idea that one day humanity could live among them. But to others, he was just a weird kid who talked about rockets and aliens. At school, Elon was bullied, badly. He was small, quiet, and always lost in thought. Some of his classmates didn't understand him, and their misunderstanding turned cruel. Once, a group of boys pushed him down a flight of stairs and beat him until he was unconscious. He had to spend a week in the hospital, but even as his body healed, his mind grew stronger. Instead of giving up, Elon buried himself in knowledge, computers, physics, engineering. Pain didn't destroy him, it fueled him. At night, he would sit near the window and look up at the stars. He would wonder, why can't humans go there? Why should we be stuck on one planet forever? That question, simple yet powerful, would define his entire life. In 1983, when Elon was just 12 years old, he did something extraordinary. He learned computer programming all by himself, using old books and manuals, no teacher, no fancy school. And then, he created his very first video game, called Blastar. It was a simple space shooter game, but for a boy of 12 in South Africa, it was revolutionary. He sold it to a computer magazine for $500. That was Elon's first ever earning, from his own creativity and skill. Most kids his age were busy playing games. Elon? He was busy making them. That's how his mind worked, always thinking, always building, always dreaming. As Elon grew older, his dream of technology and space only became stronger. But he also realized something. South Africa was not the place where he could make those dreams come true. At that time, the country was under apartheid, full of racial division, political tension, and limited opportunities for innovation. Elon hated the idea of joining the military and being part of something he didn't believe in. He wanted freedom. Freedom to think, to build, to explore. So, at just 17 years old, Elon made a decision that would change his life forever. He packed his bags, said goodbye to his family, and left South Africa. He moved to Canada, with almost no money in his pocket, only a few clothes and an unshakable dream. It wasn't easy. He did small jobs, worked at farms, cleaned boilers, anything to survive. But every night he looked up at the stars and whispered to himself, "One day, I'll be there." Looking back, Elon's childhood was not made of comfort. It was made of curiosity, courage, and imagination. He was the boy who got bullied, but never stopped thinking. The boy who got beaten down, but never gave up. He turned every pain into power, every failure into fuel. His mother once said, Elon was always a dreamer, but not just a dreamer. He was a doer. And she was right. That quiet boy from South Africa would one day build rockets, cars, and machines that changed the world. He would go on to create PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, and the Boring Company. But the foundation of all those achievements was laid in his childhood, in the silence of his bedroom, in the pages of those books, and in the mind of a lonely kid who refused to stop dreaming. Elon's story isn't just about success. It's about what happens when a child refuses to give up on imagination. It's about believing in something even when the whole world calls you crazy. It's about fighting through loneliness, fear, and doubt, and using your pain as a weapon to build your future. When Elon was a boy, he said something that would later define his life. "I think it's possible for ordinary people to choose to be extraordinary." He wasn't born with superpowers. He didn't have everything handed to him. He was bullied, misunderstood, and broke. But he had one thing the world couldn't take away: his vision. And that vision took him beyond Earth. Today, when Elon Musk talks about colonizing Mars, building self-driving cars, or changing the future of energy, people see a billionaire, an innovator, a genius. But deep down, he's still that same boy from Pretoria, the one who looked at the stars and said, "Why not?" He once said, "When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are against you." That's what he did. And that's what his story teaches us, that no dream is too big and no dreamer too small. If you've ever felt alone, if people have laughed at your dreams, if you've ever been told you can't do it, remember the boy who coded his first game at 12, who was beaten, mocked, and called crazy, but went on to build rockets that touched the edge of space. Dreams don't come true because people believe in you. They come true because you refuse to give up. So keep dreaming, keep building, because the world needs more dreamers like Elon Musk, who dare to dream beyond Earth.